Hi there, and welcome to the Making Musical Quantum Leaps podcast, the podcast that takes you on a captivating journey through the heart and soul of music with your host, Coach Worship, and your co-host, Jamie. In each episode, we'll dive into the artistry, stories, and transformative moments that define the world of music. No equations, just the pure magic of melodies, rhythm, and the incredible tales behind your favorite tunes. Join us as we explore the enchanting realm of music without the need for a scientific decoder. Let's make musical quantum leaps together. So you know how much rehearse when you have a presentation to make? You probably have to sing in church on Sunday, or you have to perform at a concert during the week. So you put your life and your soul into your rehearsals, and everything went good during rehearsals. Your pitch was accurate, you sang on key, lines fell in pleasant places actually, and you were feeling so pumped and so excited for your presentation. Like, yes, you were going to go there and give it to them. But you went there and you finished them. In the sense that you picked up your mic, you started singing, and then you realized that how you rehearsed and how you sounded during rehearsal wasn't how you sound as you're singing. Like, it's nothing compared to how you sounded during rehearsal. And you're wondering, is it because I don't know how to sing, or is it because I missed something during rehearsals, or did I not just rehearse properly? Well, those could be factors, but it's majorly because there is a gap between your inner voice and your actual voice. Today, we'll be having Aideen Ní Riada, who is an intuitive voice coach, confidence coach, mentor, and singer on a mission to unlock mental and emotional blocks, helping our clients gain the confidence they need to be seen and heard. As an intuitive voice coach, Aideen's focus is on unlocking individual potential, helping clients find their voice, and guiding them towards a confident and harmonious life. Join Aideen and Coach Worship as they discuss vocal challenges and frustrations, how to overcome the gap between your inner voice and your actual voice. Have fun.
Hello, everybody. I'm here with Aideen. She's a professional vocal coach and also a singer. She's an amazing person. She's really very sweet. I reached out to her, and there was no delay. She was really anticipating this podcast, and I'm really glad to have you on this podcast. Thank you so much. I'm super excited. Okay, for those who do not know you, I would like to make a formal introduction of you. So tell us about you for those who do not know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very grateful that you've reached out. Worship, it's a really important message that you share, that singing can be so amazing for us, not just as a, for performing, but also so good for our mental health and our well-being. So I am an intuitive voice coach. I started teaching singing about 8 years ago to adults who wanted to learn to sing for fun. But my focus has always been about building confidence through the process of learning to sing. And I help people to uncover the mental and emotional blocks to being seen and heard, because a lot of people are reluctant to share their singing because they feel like they should hold themselves back. So that's my passion, is to get more people willing and open to share their voice and to have more courage.
Okay, wow, that's a lot. When you say intuitive vocal coach, what does it mean to be an intuitive vocal coach?
Yes, so originally I started calling myself a holistic vocal coach because I realized I was dealing with the whole person, but the intuitive part came because I have a deep spiritual practice. And I started to feel that I was receiving inspiration for my clients. And I would sense when something was holding someone back. And I would speak to them about it in a very gentle, sweet way. And somehow they would start to understand and let go of some of their inhibitions. So it was really because I felt that I was being guided. I'm not just giving someone vocal, warm-ups and looking at their physical voice and making them sing better. I'm also finding ways to help them to address their deeper the deeper need behind wanting to sing, the need to feel, heard, or the need to express yourself or to express an emotion. So my intuitive side started to just come up stronger and stronger, because I have a deep spiritual practice is probably the main reason. And it seems to help my clients to progress faster.
Well, that's amazing. So, going into our topic for today, it occurred to me because I think it's something I have actually noticed with my singing, so much so that, okay, there's this sound I perceive inside of me, like I'm like, okay, let me use artist as an example. For example, let's say I feel I think I said this when I was reaching out to you. I said it's possible for someone to feel like a Beyonce on their inside, but when they go up to sing, when they come before people, they are not able to express that image, that inner voice, that strength, that skill level that they have on their inside. There's this discrepancy between their voice, their inner voice, and that which comes out. Like there's just this break in similitude. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So
yeah, I do. I understand. There's two things I think can be happening there. One can be you may not have the skills that you think you have. And that's why a vocal coach can be really useful, because we don't always know when we're off pitch. We don't always know if it sounds good. It may sound good in our own mind, in our own head, and we're having fun and we're joining in with songs that we're listening to on the radio. But sometimes there's extra skills and there's more feedback needed for you to know how you're doing, really. But the second thing would be just the fact that someone else is standing there creates so much tension in our bodies, and our mind starts to play our fears back to us. So when that happens, even if you sing really great when you're on your own or in certain circumstances, then when you're in a more stressful circumstance, when others are listening, all that tension tightens up your larynx and it makes your shoulders rise up, and your fists, you might tense your fists and your body might collapse. You might actually feel your belly will feel tight, and that makes you feel like you're bending forward a little bit, which is all going to affect your breathing and your vocal folds. And it just is it just affects so much when we are a bit stressed about singing for others.
Wow. This can necessarily relate to stage fright and anxieties, performance anxiety, where people, they do well in their rehearsals, they do well in their practice, they do well in front of probably a group of friends, but when they get in front of an audience that is not familiar, or you're not used to, a stage they're not used to, people you're not used to seeing, sometimes even sounds that they're not used to hearing, there's this anxiety that just comes on people and just it just breaks everything about them. Like you said, a lot of things begin to go on with their body beyond their control. It's something a lot of people have as a great challenge. Like, how do you deal with students? How do you bring your students out of this?
First of all, when I work with students, and I worked a lot with non-professional students and people who just wanted to sing for themselves, I would always start with creating an environment in a group where you would be singing for strangers, but who also like singing, and you start to encourage each other. So it's almost like systematic desensitization, if you're looking at it from a psychology perspective. And I always create a very safe space for anything that comes out of your mouth. So if it doesn't sound great, it's actually okay, because you're going to work through that. But if you're actually standing on a stage, if you're walking up to a stage or you're about to sing, that's just before you sing is when you need to give yourself a little pep talk, okay? And the things that I would say to myself, and I'm sure you would say to yourself too, Worship, if you were singing, would be, it's okay, I've practiced it, I know this. Yeah. And then you might check into your breathing, and you might take a slower breath. So you're breathing in for the count of 4, and maybe hold for 4, and then out for 4, and hold for 4. So you're basically trying to bring your nervous system back into balance. I would often ask people when they stand up at the microphone to do a kind of a sigh, like an internal thing. You're not going to go, like in front of everyone. Like you're not going to make it very obvious. But if you take that slow in breath and you release that out breath, it actually releases your diaphragm. And your diaphragm is that muscle in your belly that's really important for controlling your air. But if the diaphragm is overly tense, you can't even take a proper breath in. So here's a little thing we can all do together. Try this at home. Pull your tummy in really tightly as if you're doing it like a tummy crunch or like a sit-up, right? You pull the tummy in. Now try to breathe in. You can't breathe in very much, right? And so relax the belly, little sigh. And now breathe into your lower belly. Let the breath drop into your belly. And you'll feel a lot more air coming in. So one of the things that is really important, if you find you suffer from stress or, a performance anxiety, is try to check in with your breath. Is your diaphragm overly tight? Is your belly too tight to allow air in? Because if it is, you're going to have a lot of problems singing, because we need really good control of air to sing really well.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, when you speak of diaphragm, you're speaking of breathing, you're speaking of all this boils down to being mindful when you sing. It's a very important thing to be mindful when you sing. So,
yes,
a very big question: how do we practice mindfulness when we sing? Like, how do
I love that question.
It can be distracted thinking of, oh, my diaphragm, oh, my lungs, my breathing, my...
Yes, I agree with you. This is a great question. And I often say to people, even in lessons, I tell them, don't try to remember anything I've just said. Because you can't sing and think about all the things. You have to, it's impossible. The key to being mindful as you sing is to remember that a song is a form of communication. And the purpose of that song is to reach the listener, not for you to sound good, not for them to applause and think you're amazing as a singer. The main reason you're singing is to give them that message. So the song and the meaning of the song is what really matters when you're singing. If you can put your own self aside and imagine that someone in the audience needs to hear what you're saying. Someone in the audience will connect with what you're singing about. Not how you sing, but what you're singing about. And you can put yourself aside and say, right, I'm singing this song for anyone who feels this way. Like the song that came into my mind was Phantom of the Opera. Think of me fondly when we say goodbye. Everybody has heartache around saying goodbye. So when you stand up there and you say, I'm singing this for anyone who's grieving, anyone who's has to say goodbye. And a really good singer is able to feel the emotions of that, but also not let those emotions overwhelm them. And that's where the work you do with your vocal coach is so important. And the work that I do to look at what are the triggers in that song? What are you healing as a singer within yourself in order to be able to sing that song? And then when you found your peace with it, then when you sing it for others, you're giving them a song of hope, that even though you're asking for someone to think of you and that when you have to say goodbye, that you're still hopeful that they will think of you and that you're able to cope with whatever the song is about.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. All right, so that's amazing, because a lot of students, we are like, there's so many things to think about when you're singing, because of course when you're teaching them, okay, you have to be mindful of this, you have to lift up your palate, you have to sing from your diaphragm, you have to sing with more support, you have to be this when you're about to go through your vocal breaks, you have to they're like, how do I think of all this stuff? Okay, recently I just concluded a 30-day podcast teaching them for prediction for singing, because in Africa we have, it's not like the United States where you have just few languages and few accents. in Nigeria alone, I think we have up to 150 tribes, and every tribe has their accent, and their accent has a kind of impact on your singing, on your diction. So, of course, that's a very important topic. You spoke about balancing how that there are two things that could be the problem with what I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
You said one can be because of the current vocal level of that person, the vocal level of that person.
Yes.
So the next question is, how do we balance our vocal goals and expectation with our vocal reality and the current limitations we actually face? Do you get that?
Yes, I do. I mean, look, I feel like the song that you pick has to resonate with you. So what a lot of people do initially is they bring a song that they want to sing, but they're not really ready for. So you need to pick the right songs when you're less experienced. Songs that have fewer high notes and low notes are usually easier. Songs that have a similar melody throughout the whole song, so you're not having to learn lots of different parts. Sometimes we need to be careful to choose songs that are sung by someone with a similar voice to us. So I would have, like, sometimes a child will come in and they'll sing a song by an adult, and their voice can't go as low as the adult. So they can't actually produce those sounds. That's not within their limitations. And we have to understand our limitations before we start practicing a song. Some songs just aren't suitable for us, you know. I did jazz music for quite a long time, so we would transpose songs. So if a song was in a key or at a level that didn't fit for your voice, you could make it higher or lower. But some songs are very high and very low. Like, I'm from Ireland. There's a song in Ireland, Danny Boy. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. And that song goes really high and really low. And if you start off on the wrong note, you are not going to be able to finish the song. Okay? So we need to know our songs a little better. We need to know our voices a little better. And that's why I think getting some coaching can be really helpful. But if you can't get coaching, record yourself. It's horrible to listen back sometimes to recordings, but you will learn so much about your voice. You will know immediately, I can't sing that note. That's not coming to me. And with the right coaching, it's usually possible to really expand your range and your vocal agility, your ability to move from one note to the other. You'll get better at pitch. Singers actually who are really excellent are usually singing their whole lives. It could be 20 years of practice that they've been doing, and they're only 25 years old. So if you're new to singing, if you haven't done a lot of singing, try to be patient with yourself, pick easier songs, and pick songs that are sung by singers similar to you so that you can, have a better chance of it going well for you.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, there's a topic I want to talk about. It's a topic I coined. I've not really seen it anywhere. I called it musical trauma, and the theory behind it is when singers face this blockage due to a lot of mistakes they made in the past, probably singing and probably went off the key or went off the beat or forgot your lyrics, and it somehow becomes like a mountain in their mind. And I think that also affects their subsequent performances. So they think because they've made that kind of mistake, they cannot go beyond that mistake. So somebody who went off on stage suddenly believes it is possible to always, I know it's possible, but there's a point I believe people can get to where it's not one of the possibilities you think of. When I go to sing, I don't think of I might go off the key. I don't think of that anymore. So But there are people, because of past musical traumas, experiences they had, and of course negative criticism from people. Oh, you did terribly. How could you have gone off the key? How could you have done this? How could you have done that? All those negative and bad vibes that people keep giving. So how do people get past their musical traumas, get past negative criticism, and just move on with their musical adventure?
Absolutely. And I think it is an adventure and a journey, because our voices are very unique, and sometimes the reason you go a little off pitch could be, there's different reasons for that. Sometimes it could be because you don't know the song well enough. Sometimes it could be you got distracted. I did a gig in a hotel and someone dropped a glass, and I listened back to the recording, and that's when I went off pitch. Okay. And I'm a goodish singer, but even a good singer can go off pitch from time to time. So it's good to know sometimes what it is that causes it. And sometimes if it's a lack of practice, it's just a matter of get back on the horse again, don't give up. And we need to keep going forward. I mean, you only really fail when you stop trying. But I love psychology. So I use a few strategies that are based on kind of helping your mind to accept what's happened and to forgive yourself. So I really believe that the process of learning to sing is a process of learning self-love and self-forgiveness.
I actually wanted you to talk about that, because when we were speaking earlier, you said something about singing being, for you, singing is self-love, self-acceptance.
Yes.
I really wanted you to speak on that. So please go on.
I was lucky to study jazz performance, vocal performance. And, in jazz, they do improvisation. And when you actually are in a jazz college or whatever, it's normal for people to get it wrong while they're learning to get it right. And there was a huge kind of knowledge that was an okay journey to go on, that it didn't have to sound perfect. In other types of singing, like classical singing, it may not be that open for you to make a big mistake, because there's a higher standard expected. But I really believe singing is for everyone, that singing is a mental health strategy. It helps us, but we have to be able to accept where we are on the journey, and none of us is perfect. I have done things in my life. I've had problems where I've fallen out with really good friends and I don't speak to them anymore because I didn't handle something well. Now, if I kept that in my mind and berated myself and was hard on myself forever about those things, I can't move forward. And it's the same with your singing. If you can't go, I made a mistake. Oh well, oopsie-daisy almost. That wasn't great, but I'm going to get back into it again. So here's the phrase that I like to use, and this is based on a strategy called emotional freedom technique, or tapping. And you can find great tapping solutions on YouTube. There's a guy called Brad Yates, if anyone is interested in looking him up. So what you do is, I like to do very simply, right? I'm just going to tell you what the phrase is first, but the tapping also includes tapping areas on your hands or on your face. And that helps you to disengage your nervous system, so your nervous system can relax again, because the thought about, oh my God, I've made this mistake, is affecting your physical body. So this form of tapping, I'll tell you what you say to yourself first, and then we'll add in the tapping, which is basically touching your fingers together or your fingers to your face. Here's the phrase: even though I messed up that song on stage, I'm open to the possibility that I can forgive myself and move past this. So I'm just making it up. So the phrase is, even though I've had vocal trauma, I've had musical trauma because of mistakes I made when performing, I am choosing now to accept that happened, and to know that it is possible for me to improve so that I can keep working on singing. Here's another one. Even though I make mistakes when I sing, I'm open to the possibility that the fact that I love singing so much is a good enough reason to keep going. So those kinds of phrases are helpful to bring you back into a mental balance. And then to add in your nervous system, you can do tapping on your face or hands. So what you do is, if anybody is listening, try this. You tap your thumb and index finger together. So you touch them together. Then you touch your middle finger to your thumb. Then you touch your ring finger to your thumb. Then you touch your little finger to your thumb. And then you start again. Index finger, middle finger, ring finger. Anyone who plays guitar will find this really easy because they're used to using their fingers like that. So if you try it, keep going. You keep touching each finger and then you say, even though I'm not a perfect singer, I choose to love and accept myself. Even though I sometimes make mistakes when I sing. I appreciate the efforts that I'm making. Even though I have made some big mistakes on stage, I'm choosing to let that go right now because I want to move forward.
Wow.
Okay, so it's the combination of saying a phrase that's opening you up to letting go of what happened. And then you're getting your nervous system involved with the tapping. So that's a strategy that I use. And I hope it helps some of you who are listening.
Thank you so much, Aideen. Our time is fast spent. I could talk all day, but our time is fast spent. Okay, so just to wrap everything up, just say something to someone that is going through this phase, because I believe it's a phase in their musical journey. This phase of self-acceptance, this phase of, going past their musical trauma, this phase of connecting, trying to use music as a tool of expression of your emotions, of who you truly are on your inside, because that's what music is for me. Most of the songs I write are actually a reflection of the person inside, not just who I am outside, but that very person inside of me. So you're closing up the podcast. So just say something.
Thank you.
To your listeners.
For me, singing is when I feel like it's my real deepest self that's coming through. And that's why it mattered so much to me. That's why I would be emotional when I saw someone sing. That's why I really felt grief when I wasn't singing. But each of us needs to understand that no one has gone through the life that you are going through in the way that you are going through it at this time. You are completely unique. Your experiences and the wisdom that you're gaining from your experiences is unique. And when you express yourself through a song from your heart, you are going to reach other people's hearts in a way that you cannot actually understand. Your voice cannot be replaced, and your voice is precious and valuable, and it's worth investing in. It's worth investing your time. It's worth investing, in vocal coaching. Because when you can bring that voice forward, not only are you going to feel expansive and loving and hopeful, but you're going to be able to share something of you with someone who needs to know that they are not alone on their journey.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Aideen. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for making it to the Making Musical Quantum Leaps podcast. It was indeed a quantum leap, and a quantum shift in our minds and in our confidence. Thank you so much. We love you so much from Nigeria. We love you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Worship, and sending much love to everyone there in Nigeria. Where in Nigeria are you, by the way?
In Kogi State. It's close to Abuja. You've been to Nigeria before?
No, but my mother-in-law and my husband's father lived in Nigeria, and my husband's father, Howard Wolpe, was involved in bringing, doing peace process works with with Nigeria, and he even wrote a book about the politics of Nigeria. So he is, so there's a connection there. So Kogi State.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that, and thank you so much for this beautiful connection.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Bye.
And there you have it. That was Aideen telling us how to bridge the gap between our inner voice and our actual voice. Thank you so much, Aideen. That was wholesome, insightful, educative, and impactful. And thank you to Coach Roshi for being such a lively host. You are amazing, and I really do appreciate you. If you want to reach out to Aideen, you can check her out on Instagram at Resonate with Aideen. Do not forget to follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. Also, make sure you follow us on Spotify or on whatever listening platform it is that you use. Also, do not forget to like each episode as you go. Feel free to leave a comment below, or you could send us a review to our direct message on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is in the description box below. I remain your co-host Jamie, and I'll be signing off right here.